It was when he made a weird pause and then said, "Gosh, you're pretty," that I said thank you, and then I had to get back to my shopping before they close.
That's always where it starts to go downhill. What's up, guys? So today we are here to watch a video I'm excited to watch because I have not watched Mr. Nightmare in a long time, probably a good 2 years or so, and I just saw it pop into my feed. This is from like 2 months ago, but this is the 3 creepy true supermarket horror stories, and I was like, oh shit, it's been a minute. So, the original will be down link in the description if you want to go see it for yourselves. I'll be leaving the last story out, so if you guys want to see the 3rd story, it'll be on his channel. And, yeah, go check out Mr. Nightmare in the description. Let's do it! Mr. Nightmare is like one of my favorite horror channels to listen to stories for.
I'm a mother of 3, and so our grocery bills are quite high. My husband works at a
Plus,
tech company.
you can tell with these kind of people, too. They have the voice that just pull it off so well that you can just envision it. I don't know if that makes sense, but you can see what's going on in your head or whatever. That makes... I hope that made sense in some way, but you can envision what's going on. It sets the mood, makes everything all creepy that's going around. So only certain people have those type of voices, right? Me, I could do fuck all of doing that, right? I could do it, and I still have too high-pitched of a voice where it doesn't even really work. I tried one creepypasta one time, like a couple years back, and it sucked ass. So, just keep it honest. I'm just not good at this shit.
Company, and I currently stay at home raising the kids, who are 10, 7, and 3. I go food shopping at least twice a week, and I usually go to the King Cullen near our house, though I sometimes go to the nearby Target as well. Those are 2 of a very small list of grocery stores in our quiet town. To give as much context as possible, we're an Italian family, and I'm currently 40 years old.
I don't
This
think
happened
we
not
have
even a year ago.
King Cullen around here. I live at Target, but never seen a King Cullen.
When I was 39. I was running behind on shopping one day, so I went much later than usual. The King Cullen by us closes at 10, and it was definitely past 9 o'clock already, so I hurried over to the store with my flyers and coupons. The kids were complaining about a lack of food in the house, so I had to get a quick grocery run in. Most days I'd have to go shopping with my 3-year-old daughter Haley. Since it was late and my husband was home from work at this time, for once I was able to go shopping alone, which I consider a luxury. I got to the King Cullen, which was pretty void of people at this hour since it would soon be closing. I grabbed a cart and quickly started doing my laps down the aisles and grabbing whatever was on my list and whatever was on sale. I was in the cereal aisle when I got a tap on my shoulder, which startled me. I turned and saw a very tan man about my height with a baseball cap on, a black goatee, and a red zipper-up hoodie and jeans on. He laughed and apologized for startling me, and said that he'd been looking everywhere for a specific bag of chips that was in my cart, and he asked where I found them. I politely told him.
Oh man, I wish I wasn't cutting right now because god damn it, this shit looks good. I'll look at the Pretty Pebbles stare me down my eye holes, you know, the Cinnamon Toast Crunch, the fucking cakes, all that shit. I'm on like a weight loss cut right now and fuck. Listen, Balkan season, when that comes back around, trust me, all this shit's getting torn up. Trust me.
In the aisle, and he said he checked but couldn't find it. So I actually led him exactly to where I found the chips. He thanked me with his awful breath, and I smiled and was about to walk back to my cart, but then he started making pointless conversation with me about why he liked those chips so much. Something silly like the ingredients or a lack of a specific ingredient. I kept trying to make it obvious that I was inching my way back to my cart. He wouldn't get the hint though. It was when he made a weird pause and then said, "Gosh, you're pretty," that I said thank you, and then I had to get back to my shopping before they close.
That's always where it starts to go downhill. Once that comes out of his mouth, you gotta get the fuck out of Dodge on that one. Fuck.
I went to my cart, but he followed me and kept talking to me. At this point, as politely as I could, I told him I really would just like to shop in peace. He finally seemed to get the hint and walked away, but for the rest of my time in the store that night, I kept seeing that man circling the aisles, and each time he walked past the aisle I was in, he'd slow down or even stop and just look down at me. I was getting increasingly uncomfortable.
You know, I feel bad for girls, man. I genuinely do, because I know a lot of people, especially my girlfriend, who deal with shit like this all the fucking time. And it's just, obviously there's a different thing where somebody like me, you know, a guy or whatever, has a different thing because, you know, we don't have this as often happen. But for girls, it's more happens to them, and that's fucked. That's fucked. Like, some people are just scared to go like out at certain past points during the night just because they're afraid of dealing with people like this, or even just going outside at night just because they have to deal with people like this, or they deal with people just screaming outside their car and stuff like that. I feel horrible every time I hear stories like that. I genuinely feel really bad. That's damn.
Comfortable and hurried up my shopping. When I was finally done, I went to the checkout, and as I emptied my cart, here comes red hoodie guy with a whole 2 or 3 items, and he waits on line right behind me. He doesn't say a word anymore, but I felt his gaze even through the back of my head. When I was
I'm sorry for pausing so much, but for certain people who are like this, right, what is their plan when they do shit like this, right? What is their fucking plan? I don't understand. Because what do they expect is going to happen? Do they think they're going to drop everything and just go for them? What kind of ego do you have to think that that's going to happen? I genuinely don't know. Like, do they... I don't understand what the thought process goes through somebody behind who do shit like this. It's fucking psychos, dude.
done checking out, I pushed my cart away, and the man called out, "Have a good night, ma'am."
Following them?
I ignored it. As I was unloading my car, I noticed the red hoodie guy in the parking lot looking at me as he walked to his car. He got into a junky-looking Honda that must have been like 30 years old. He didn't turn the car on, though. He just sat in it. I finally finished loading my car, so I got inside, started it, and began driving out of the parking lot.
Her home.
I looked in my rearview mirror a few times, and I didn't see any headlights behind me, so I felt safe to drive home. It wasn't until I pulled into the driveway and looked to my left down the street that I realized there was a car with its headlights off, slowly down the street approaching our house. It pulled to the curb a few houses down. It looked to be that Honda from the parking lot. I went inside the house and called my husband's name. He came downstairs looking concerned, and I told him I was followed home by a creep.
Fuck.
He hurried outside to the stoop, but by this time the car was already gone. The following weekend, late at night when we were all in bed, I heard some shuffling around outside in the side yard. I shook my husband to go check what it was, and he went to slide the window open. He saw someone right below the window trying to open the side gate to the backyard, but after hearing the window slide open, the man looked up and started to run. My husband grabbed the baseball bat from under the bed.
That's the problem too. Once he's already seen the play, so there's not much he can really do now because he already knows, and now he's gonna try every attempt he can. Fuck. Unless you could try. I don't even know. I don't know what cops can even do. Sometimes cops don't even really give a shit too. That's what's fucked up. It depends what cops you go to. Some cops brush a lot of shit like this off, and then some bad shit happens, and that's why certain cops get the reputation they do because they're douchebags about shit.
And ran outside, and when he came back a minute later, he said he saw the car speeding down the street and he tried to chase after it. He perfectly described the shitty Honda that the red hoodie guy was driving. It was undoubtedly him. We phoned the police, and given the late hour, a police officer arrived to our house in under 5 minutes. I described the man and his car the best I could, and that was that. He never returned to our house, not after seeing my angry husband chasing his car on foot with a bat.
Okay, I guess
Still remains uncomfortable that a creep like that knows where I live, though.
Yeah, definitely. And that I just said a minute ago that it's fucked because he knows where it is, but he could try again depending. The dude's already fucked up for even trying to do that, so Lord knows what he'll even do or try to attempt to do.
When I was in college, I worked at Wallbaum's. The one I worked at was a 24-hour one, so a couple unfortunate people would always be stuck working that awful
Man,
shift.
I've never heard of these places. Waldebans, I've never heard of this place at all. What do they even sell there?
I thought since I was 20 and in college that my boss would never put me on an overnight shift. But unfortunately, I guess when she asked my school schedule and I told her I was off Mondays and Wednesdays, she saw me as a perfect sucker to stick on the overnight shift.
Yup, that's how it usually goes. Yup. Yup, once you say one thing like that, they're like, oh, we got you. Because you said you had nothing going on, kind of thing.
Perfect sucker to stick on the overnight shift occasionally moving forward. One day I saw that I was scheduled for a Tuesday night from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. I had to triple check the schedule to make sure that that was right. I felt sick seeing that, and when I asked my supervisor why I was put on the overnight shift, he told me if I'm over 18, I don't really have a choice. I considered quitting.
You know, this might be like an older story because I don't know any store that's open past like 11 here or like midnight. And not even like that period they just said that they had to stay there for. Their store is not even open around here anymore. So this must be like ever since COVID happened, like every store just kind of just closes down like after 12 o'clock. So,
But I needed the job and money. So I just sucked it up and decided I'd do it this one time and then tell my boss I can't do it ever again because I have to study for school. So I arrived at the store at 12 o'clock and relieved my coworker Amanda. Half the lights in the store were out at this hour to save on electricity. There were a surprising amount of customers in the store when I got there. I guess more people than I expected would do quick midnight shopping runs. Past 1 a.m. though, the place was completely dead. Maybe 3 customers in the entire hour. As it got later in the night, there were less and less customers. It was past 2 a.m. by this point. I was as bored as humanly possible, and there hadn't been a customer in over an hour. I wondered if there were any other employees in the building. There had to be, I figured. They couldn't have a lone 20-year-old running the whole place by himself.
maybe
There was some bald guy who looked like he could be a manager that kept passing by the front registers every few minutes. He had a key ring attached to his khakis with like 10 keys on it, and he was holding a small backpack-type bag in his hand. So I said, "Excuse me, are you the manager?" And he came over and asked if it was my first day on the job, to which I said it was my first night shift. He shook my hand without giving me his name, and asked me if I could go to the back warehouse of the store and organize the pallets. He said he'd watch the front. I didn't exactly know what that meant, but
okay,
I'd figure it out.
I kind of see where this is going. So I imagine what's going to happen is this is not actually the manager, right? This is just some random fucking dude and just basically tricked him to go do that.
I walked towards the back of the store, and as I did, I saw him doing something to the entrance door of the store, like he was reaching for some switch on the side of it, as if he were locking it.
Yep.
I made my way into the back warehouse, where I saw a tall man who looked like he were 30, wearing a manager's vest that said wall bounce. He saw my apron and introduced himself as Rob, the night manager. I said, "Oh, I thought the guy in the front was the night manager." And he looked puzzled and said, "Who?" When I described that man from before, he asked me to show him who I was talking about, because he was the only manager on duty. We didn't even make it out of the warehouse before all the lights in the store turned off. Rob told me to wait in the warehouse while he checks out what's going on. I watched as he walked through the warehouse doors into the darkness of the store.
Bro,
with the only light out.
I didn't know if I don't know if there's any doors back there or something like that, but I'd dart the fuck out of there, dude. Fuck that. No. Because if you go and investigate that shit, who knows what that dude has on him? Because this dude's obviously psychotic as he is already. So this could go horribly. Go out there and call the cops or do something. Call somebody. Fuck this job. Never coming back. That's what he said.
From the lights of the dairy coolers that were still on. I sat on a box on a pallet and was on my phone trying to text any of my friends who could have been awake about what was happening when I heard a door from inside the warehouse opening. It was on the other side of the warehouse, separated by the freezer and dairy fridge. There were 2 ways in and out of the warehouse back into the store. I still sat there, now with my ears perked up, listening for any sounds, and I heard quiet, slow footsteps getting closer, followed by a voice saying, "Hey kid, you in here?" But it wasn't Rob's voice. It was that bald guy's voice.
Fuck.
I hurried out the warehouse doors into the store, but quietly. I jogged to the front of the store looking for Rob, but I couldn't find him. I called out his name. Nothing. I grabbed my jacket and tried to open the exit door, but it wouldn't open automatically.
Oh, Rob's
so I tried
dead,
to
isn't he?
physically open it, but it was locked. I heard footsteps approaching from behind me, and I turned and almost screamed, but I realized it was Rob the manager.
Oh.
He flicked some lever or something on the top right of the door and unlocked it, and he said in a panicked whisper to hurry and get outside.
Yup.
He followed behind me. We left the store and he got right on the phone with the police, and I heard his whole conversation. He said he believed an armed man locked himself into the wall bounce and was probably trying to rob the place. I told him to tell the police that I think he was coming to harm me in the warehouse, which he relayed to the operator. He told me I should go wait in my car or leave. I'm sure because he didn't want the store to be held liable for anything if something were to happen. I went and sat in my car and just watched for a little while, and within 10 minutes there were at least 4 police cars outside the store. They all went inside for a while, and I didn't see whatever was going on, so I left. I didn't quit after that, though. The next time I went into work, I was told all about what happened by my supervisor. The security footage showed that bald man circling the place, acting suspicious, checking if the coast were clear to do whatever he was planning to do after locking the doors. He cut the lights in the store, and the camera showed him going straight to the warehouse where he told me to go. That's the scariest part to me, because if he were armed and robbing the place, he could have been on his way to put a gun to my head or something. The camera showed him leaving through the emergency exit in the warehouse way before the police arrived. In the end, I never worked an overnight shift again after talking to my boss, and I stayed at that job for another few months. I'm not sure if that man was ever identified.
Jesus. Alright, so if you want to see the third story, the link will be down, link in the description. I don't even know how you could have even stayed there after a few months after doing that. Shit, that's wow. Like, I was wondering what this was going, and then when he said the thing about the dude saying he was a manager or whatever, and you know, going to close the door, it seems a little fishy. I don't know, something seems a little fishy about that. And plus, he's supposed to be bad stories and stuff like that. And these are true stories, which is scary to think about. Crazy shit, man. If you guys love the video, like, comment, subscribe. And yeah, I was gonna say like some story or something like that, but I've worked at like one grocery store in my life, and I don't have anything fucked up like that happen. I have some shitty stories there, but nothing like that. I got nothing that adventurous, but alright, peace.
Ain't no simping, just pimp chippin'. Ain't no simping, just pimp chippin'. Ain't no simping, just pimp chippin'. Ain't no simping, I'm just pimp chippin'. Ain't no simping, just pimp chippin'. Ain't no simping, just pimp chippin'. Ain't no simping, just pimp chippin'. Ain't no simping.